Well, hello, and for some of you, good morning. For some of you, good afternoon. I see many of you joining audio right now. Thank you for joining us today for this awesome conversation about GSEA. We have many people joining. Wow, look at this. I see 43 so far, and more continuing to join as we go. Again, thanks for taking some time out of your day today. We've got a fantastic conversation planned as we hear from many former GSEA students and winners and those who have done very well and provided meaningful input for meaningful businesses for many around the world. Again, thank you for joining us. At the bottom, this is really important, we have interpretation. So for those who need any form of interpretation, we've got a Japanese interpreter here with us today. You can click on interpretation down there and select Japanese. For everybody else, feel free to hit English and or keep that off. So today we've got the GSEA team. We've got, as well as 4 GSEA students who have offered to give up some of their time to talk about their experience in GSEA over the years. So just quick introductions here. We've got Marissa and Catherine with the GSEA team. Please raise your hands. Yep, we can see you. We're all going to be in different spots on Zoom here. But Marissa and Catherine have done a fantastic job converting this GSEA conference from an in-person event in South Africa to an entirely virtual competition. And fortunately, we've got many of the details figured out, from how are we going to do presentations, how we're going to do Q&A, how we're going to provide networking opportunities. All of this is very helpful for all. From the student perspective, we've got Daniela, who many of you may have met in years past as a previous global winner. We've got Alondra, we've got Berat, Kate, all of whom I've met in years past and have done an excellent job, both in their previous presentations as well as helping be a part of the GSEA alumni community. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask questions down at the bottom or in the chat window. We've got a number of questions that we're planning to talk through with the students here today and have a great conversation. So we've got several questions that Adrienne and I are going to lead, and feel free to ask Q&A down at the bottom. We'll get to those towards the end. Again, my name is Tyler Olson. I'll be the virtual MC for GSEA this year. I competed in GSEA back in 2007 myself. It was one of my life highlights and has helped me immensely over the years. I've been very thankful to then go through Accelerator, go through EO, and been a part of the GSEA program now for several years. Adrienne Palmer, who many of you may know as well, has been extremely active in EO for many years and has been very passionate about the GSEA community. She's helped connect GSEA students to many leaders throughout the world and has been an awesome advocate for GSEA throughout EO. So today we're going to ask some questions. And again, at the bottom, for those who might just be joining, there's interpretation for those that need Japanese interpretation. That is a feature built within Zoom. So the first question to our 4 student panelists is how did you hear about GSEA? What was the first moment hearing about GSEA? Why did you choose to become involved and apply? And maybe if we can just go through the list that we have in order. So Daniela, Kate, if you have anything that you want to bring up first.
Yes, hi everyone, I'm Daniela. So I heard about GSEA when I was a student at NYU, and I just got an email from the university talking about this competition for students who wanted to be entrepreneurs. I do have to say it was an understatement what the email said, because it said that it was a competition where they value you as a person and as an entrepreneur more than the business. However, I really had no idea that it was going to be that much of like the value put on us as entrepreneurs. So it was really scary at first, but such a wonderful experience afterwards. So I'm glad that's why I ended up staying, because it was such a life-changing experience to be surrounded by mentors who really wanted to support me as an entrepreneur and grow not just my business but also personally.
Yeah, and I'm similar. I heard through my university, I'm from Ireland, so I heard through my university a similar email. And again, I was shocked by how it was just, they didn't portray it as many competitions are about the business and about what your business does, whereas GSEA was very much focused on you as the entrepreneur. And it just grabbed my attention when I saw there was like over 50 nationalities that would be taking part, and we got the opportunity to meet all of them in person as well, which I just thought was definitely different to many other competitions I would have heard about through the university.
Thank you.
Then maybe I can go next. Tyler, am I on the list right now, or is someone else?
Yes, yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
Berat.
Okay, perfect. So hello everyone, my name is Berat Kjamili, and I participated in GSEA in 2018, and I won the Social Impact Award. Actually, how I didn't hear from my university, I heard from a WhatsApp group. So we have a WhatsApp group where all entrepreneurs come together, and it started by one of the EU members in Turkey. So then they said, there is a competition, would you like to apply? And I said, why not? So let's go. And then when I was here, then there was let's say an interview with the EU members, and my product wasn't ready then. So I went there, I met with them, and I was so worried that they are going to focus on my business and not my spirit as an entrepreneur. And then I realized that what they focused was me as an entrepreneur, and then I made it to Canada. So for me, it was a great experience that, when I was being interviewed, so more than asking questions about my business model, they asked questions about what I think about entrepreneurship, what I feel about entrepreneurship, how I foresee myself. And today I'm here talking with you.
Okay, I can go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm Alondra, Toledo. I'm from Puerto Rico, and I participated last year in China. My story is kind of different because it wasn't in my university. I find out about Global Student Entrepreneurs Award because as a student entrepreneur, I was poor and I needed money to develop my business. So I started competing in an entrepreneurial competition called Enterprise in Puerto Rico. And if you're a student that's also an entrepreneur, you can also participate in a different section that is for students. And the students that win in that category are the ones who are going to compete for Global Student Entrepreneurs Award. But I didn't know about that. So when I entered to Enterprise, they told me you can apply for Global Student Entrepreneurs Award. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but is there money in it? I will apply. And they were, yeah, there's money in it. Okay, I will apply then. So, and then I didn't know that day that I applied to Global Student Entrepreneurs Award, it was going to change my whole perspective of how to be an entrepreneur. And I'm here right now talking to all of you. It turned out to be one of the best experiences that I ever had in my entire life.
Wow, that's a big statement. Thank you for giving us that background. And thank you all for joining this call. We've just had another 10 people join, I see, since we started our first question. Again, thank you for participating in the GSEA experience. We greatly appreciate you volunteering around the world to help out with this. Again, today we've got 4 student panelists, those that have been leaders in the GSEA program in recent years and have done very well in each of their respective companies in the GSEA competition. And we thought it'd be valuable for all of you, first to hear from them what really impacted them about GSEA. So we've got several questions that we're going to be asking ourselves, and as you have questions, feel free to mark them in the chat window. We'll get towards them at the end. So my next question for a couple of students is please describe your GSEA experience. What was it like? How did it impact you? And I know specifically Kate and Berat, you had a couple stories that maybe you wanted to share. Kate, can you go first?
Yeah, sure. So when I go to describe my GSEA experience, the first thing that pops to my mind is just how we got to meet all the participants. That was the big thing for me, was that I could meet all these participants with very different businesses, but with very similar issues, if that makes sense. We're all students, we're all quite young to be entrepreneurs and to have businesses, and many other competitions or business competitions you would do around the world, you could be against people who are old enough to be your parents or even grandparents. So this was a much different experience just for us to be able to talk to people the same age as us, and also just to be able to understand from our own from where we're coming from with the struggles of university and a business, because a business is full-time as it is, and then throwing in a few exams as well can kind of rock the boat a bit. So just having this organization that we've become part of, to have the other students that we were against and even chatting with, it's just great to have those to ask questions, and whenever you have a problem, they usually have felt it as well.
Thanks. Berat?
And like for me, actually, it started back in Turkey, not even before coming, to Canada, let's say. So I applied for a visa to Canada, and the Canada embassy, because they see EO as an American organization, they didn't believe me that they do an event in Canada, and they suspended my visa in last 2 days. And it was a big shock for me because, like they didn't inform like, like a week ago, or let's say 2 weeks ago, like 2 days ago, they said to me that your visa is suspended and you will not be able to go to Canada. Then, I think it started to, there I experienced my entrepreneurship spirit. So with Marisa and the others, we sent like 100 emails to embassy. Then, after sending the emails, I just wrote to Justin Trudeau, the president of Canada, and I said, I'm coming to the GSEA, cool, please, can you help me? Then interestingly, his assistant sent me an email back, and he said, okay, I'm connecting you with the Minister of Refugees and Minister of, let's say, Migration. I'm also a migrant myself, living in Turkey from North Macedonia. Then we end up getting my visa in 12 hours, and I made it to Canada, which was, let's say like the most stressful time, maybe, during my student year. So after I graduated and, focused on my business, I had more stressful times. But for that time, I think, not giving up, finding a way to solve the problem and using my entrepreneurship skills, to write an email to the president. And then, with Marisa to send like 100 emails to embassy, it got me to the Canada, and I won the award. So the Social Impact Award. So I think, so my experience would be like, I become an entrepreneur I become a real entrepreneur, let's say, with the competition.
Wow, thanks for sharing that, Berat. And what's fascinating is GSEA students around the world have a similar experience, where not only is the GSEA competition an awesome experience, but sometimes, the challenges of simply getting to the global competition shows how many obstacles that you have to overcome with visas and whatnot. And it really shows the perseverance of these students. Adrienne and I are going to tag team on some questions. Adrienne, you want to ask a couple?
Yeah, absolutely. Be happy to. I also want to reflect a little bit on what Berat just said. Thank you for sharing that story, because one thing that reminds us, I know all of you are incoming GSEA chairs. I am a member of EO Dallas, by the way, and have been a member for a long time, been a GSEA chair and been supporting GSEA for many years. I see Dean on the call there from our Dallas chapter, so he's going to do a great event here for us. But for those of you that are returning GSEA chairs, you probably already know this. For those of you that are new, you might not. We have amazing staff support in GSEA. And Marissa and Catherine are both on the call here. They can wave again in case you didn't catch them earlier. They will jump through so many amazing hoops to do anything for these students. And the story that Berat just told about dealing with Canada and his visa is one small example of some of the things that I've seen them do to just make sure things go smoothly for the students. So when you guys are working on your competitions and you have challenges or whatever else is happening, if you get stuck, don't hesitate to reach out to them, because they know this program in and out, and they will move mountains to make it happen. But I want to talk a little bit, you guys have pointed out the geography going on here in this call, just among the students themselves, much less all the GSEA chairs. What did it mean for you to be winning this for your country? Because there's 50-something countries involved in GSEA, and to bring that international audience together, I know is a source of pride. Let's start with Puerto Rico. Alondra, what did it mean to you to be winning this?
Well, in my case, I think it was kind of different to all the students because Puerto Rico is a super small island, and something that you do today, tomorrow, the whole island or at least the half of the island are gonna know about it. So when I won the GSEA in Puerto Rico, I was in the newsletter the other day, and it was like, oh my God, this girl is going to China, and that's like a big deal here in Puerto Rico because like a Puerto Rican, a woman Puerto Rican, and that is a student is going to China and to an international competition to represent our country. So for me, it was a big deal, and it was the first time that I was gonna travel outside of the United States. So it was huge, and also being able to win the innovation award in China the other day in Puerto Rico, everyone knew because it was in all newspapers, it was in all the TV shows. I was like this celebrity. I also had like a billboard. They did a billboard about me. And I was like, I only won the innovation award, but thank you. You know, they were super proud because like that's something that you don't see every day here, at least in Puerto Rico, because it's a super small island. But it was a great opportunity for the business because it was in the map, you know. I had the opportunity to expose my business and to be able to show the business to the community that I'm currently impacting, which is the deaf community and the health professionals. So a lot of health professionals and deaf wrote to me, and they knew about the business. So it was a great opportunity for me to expose the business.
That's awesome. And so one small island of Puerto Rico, let's move to a little bit bigger island of Ireland. Kate, what did it mean to you?
So when I won the competition for Ireland, it was a big thing, sort of similar because Ireland is very small as well. So everyone knows about anything that goes on, basically. One person knows, everyone will know. And it was kind of the similar, it was all over social media, like newspapers, that sort of thing, that again, like an 18-year-old was going to represent Ireland in China. Like it just wasn't really heard of, and especially for something other than sport. Like you could often hear about young athletes going around the world competing for their country, but being a young entrepreneur in college as well, it was just completely different. And I think it was also that, again, kind of like what Berat said, that it's how the EO is kind of seen as an American organization. They were kind of asking like, oh, how did she manage to get in with this organization? Like, what are the connections? And I think people just saw like the recognition that EO has, like outside GSEA, the recognition that EO has worldwide, just put even more emphasis on how great it actually was that I'd managed to compete for Ireland against everyone else from all these different countries under the EO umbrella, if that makes sense. So it was more about just the recognition that you got for yourself, your business, and your country for being involved with EO.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Kate. And then Berat and Daniela both have something in common, and that's the two country, you know, where you're from, where you're competing, all of that. So which of you wants to go first and kind of talk a little bit about Turkey and Canada, Venezuela, US?
Yes, I can go first, Brad, if that's okay with you. I am from Venezuela originally, but I am living in the United States. So I won the US national competition, and as you may know, a lot of things happen in the US. So even though I wasn't a national celebrity at the moment, I have to say it was probably the most meaningful thing that had happened to me so far. Because when you're an immigrant and you move to this country, there's so much going on. And even if I was living in New York and it's such a diverse environment, I wanted to feel that I was home. And when they gave me the opportunity to represent the United States, it really made me feel like that. It made me feel like they were trusting me to be one of them, to be part of this country, to also represent what this country is to a lot of immigrants, to a lot of people who dream very big and who want to make a change in our world. So it was incredibly meaningful. A lot of pressure for me because I didn't want to let anyone down, and I wanted everyone to be proud and to feel like they were being represented with, you know, everything I had. And more than that, when I got to GSEA, Venezuela is going through a lot of political issues, so we didn't really have a representative coming from Venezuela itself. So it felt like I was doing that too. I felt like I could speak and tell my story about what was happening in Venezuela and be a representation of my people as much as I was representing my second home, and which is the United States, and how much I love and I am so grateful for being part of it. It was by far an incredible feeling and so many emotions that I had at that moment. I don't think I've ever been through a competition or a program that makes me feel like that. It was so much going on, and now I am super, super proud because I feel like my experience actually got to give a lot of immigrant students, at least at NYU, the the desire to also participate in this type of things. They reached out to me and they told me that now they feel like they can also be representatives of the United States even if they weren't born here. And I think that that's really special because at the end of the day, something that I learned from GSEA is that entrepreneurship really sees no boundaries and like country borders. We're all in the same boat. We just want a better future. We just want to help the world and all of our communities. So I think that it's that it doesn't matter where we were born. At the end of the day, we're all striving to make a difference and leave a mark. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Beautifully said. Berat, tell us about what it meant for you in the country representation.
I live in Turkey. It's like an island, but like with three seas. Like one side is connected to land, so it can be counted as island, I guess. But when I like the day before I win in the GSEA Turkey, let's say chapter, like I was in a very bad mood, let's say. So because I'm a foreigner here, like I don't have citizenship. I try to do business, and I try to do a business for refugees, which was let's say the all like you approach, and you're a social entrepreneur as well. I approach the investors. They ask me, do you have a business model? I explain my business model, then I have to prove it that it's profitable, which was really bad. And afterwards I had to prove that the refugee related areas are also investable for the like the investors. And I'm a migrant myself, so like the business wasn't going very good the days before, and I was so demotivated. So I was thinking that as a migrant I will not be able to do business here. But then in Turkey there was two, let's say, top candidates. One of them was me, and the other one was another participant. So like the judges were divided. Like some of them were wanted someone from Turkey to represent Turkey. The other ones wanted me to represent Turkey. So like I wasn't quite sure that I'm gonna win. And I remember when I wake up, so I didn't want to see any of my emails. I thought that I lost the competition. Then, I saw that Turkey EU chapter called me like 10 times. And they said that you won the competition. And I was there, I started to believe myself that, as a migrant, as an entrepreneur, I can do more. And I shouldn't be giving up for I'm a migrant. I should be working more and more as a migrant, even though all the, let's say, disadvantages. Then when I come to the, let's say, the GSEA, the global event, then it was also because I was representing Turkey as a migrant. So like if I didn't win anything, when I come back it would be really bad because they took a risk to send a migrant to represent Turkey. And there it was even more pressure, like not from the EU side, but for me, because I wanted to show that migrants can represent the countries they live, and they can bring awards. I really wanted, to represent very well Turkey. And then I come back with a social impact award. So like it was win-win for both Turkey and for me as migrants. And afterwards, the migrants started to apply more to this kind of competitions. And I believe that like the EU, even with these things, also made me, be more proud of being a migrant and being a migrant entrepreneur.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I think what these stories highlight about the pride of the country, and I know that the GLC training, virtual training, is starting up very soon, and we'll get into a lot more of the details of this. But these amazing stories is what helps GSEA be the PR machine that it is for EO, and helps you guys as GSEA chairs get so much support and so much press and so much wonderful attention for EO and for GSEA, because these stories that the students are telling, these are the stories that people want to hear. It's changing the world, it's touching hearts, it's moving our world forward, it's connecting, it's tearing down borders. So it's just really amazing. Daniela, you won the Global National Championship last year. So it's been about 1 year since that day. What's changed in your business since then?
So I work in changing the chemical industry. I am a chemical engineer, and what I want to do is make the chemical industry more sustainable. So we are building a different technology which has different chemical reactors and just an overall different way of thinking about how to do chemistry so that it is more sustainable and more efficient. As you might imagine, it is incredibly hard to change such a big traditional industry such as the chemical industry. So I think that in the last year, a lot of things have changed for us. First, we started with prototypes that were about the size of my hand. Right now, we have prototypes that are bigger than a printer, and we keep growing to prototypes that are about the size of a suitcase. We have been able to prove out our technology not just at scale, but we have also done a lot of analysis on how pure our samples are and how good and the quality of our products. And it has been best quality. It has been incredible on that sense. For the business side, we have been supported by EO in an incredible way. I have been able to enjoy their network, get in touch with investors, with mentors in different industries, and just get constant advice and feedback as I move forward on this journey. But I think probably the biggest thing that has changed is that before doing GSEA, everyone told me every single time I pitched my idea and my dream that I was a little crazy and naive, that changing such a big industry was too much and that we weren't going to be able to do it. GSEA was definitely the first competition ever where I wasn't told that, where instead I had mentors who were helping me realize that what matters is how big your dream is and how meaningful it is, what you're fighting for, that it's a worthy cause. So I think that after GSEA, my mindset completely changed. And now I don't feel discouraged when there is someone who doesn't believe in what we're doing right now. I know where I'm going, I know why I'm going that way, and I know what my goal is. And I have all of you, EO, as a reference for the kind of entrepreneur that I want to become. I don't want to be an entrepreneur that just has a successful business on the economic way and making money. I want to be an entrepreneur that builds a business that really makes a difference and leaves a mark. And the fact that I have that now in my head, and I know all of you, and I feel the support from this network has really changed the way I keep fighting for my startup. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm noticing that we're at about the halfway point. Out of respect for time, Tyler, I know you have some more questions you want to ask. You want to jump in?
I'll jump in. Thanks, Adrienne. And before I jump into the next question, many of you are asking great questions in the chat window about how are we going to pull virtual competitions, and is the training ready for us for this next year? Where is the GSA in the box? We have answers to all of those questions, and we've built a whole online e-learning program for GSEA. We're just about to roll that out to you with the training that you need to be successful running a GSEA competition this next year. We thought it'd be best to start with the students, to listen to them around why was GSEA an impactful experience for them, so you really can grasp the why around why this volunteer position you've chosen to take up is so important for the entrepreneur community, for the future of entrepreneurship, for EO as a whole, and especially for the students. So we thought we'd start here, and soon you'll receive emails with the details of all the answers to the questions that you have and more. So next question to the students: why would you recommend competing in GSEA to other students? And I know Daniela and Kate, again, you had good answers for this question. Daniela, do you want to kick it off?
Yes, I would say that everyone should apply to this competition because it's the most inspiring one and it's a truly life-changing experience. Whatever you imagine, this is going to exceed your expectations. It helps you grow personally and your business, and it doesn't have a comparison on the quality of the mentors that are available to you.
Kate?
Yeah, I agree. Like, whenever someone asks me about, oh, that time you went to China, I'm like, I just can't stop talking about it, because it wasn't just even the experience of pitching or the awards or anything like that. It was also just kind of like the quirky stories you have of like running for flights and like trying to figure out how to get to your hotel when you don't speak the language, and like it was just all the smaller things as well that you learned through doing the competition, whether it was like meeting your peer group and then also just like meeting other EO members, which was great. Like what Daniela said, just having the mentors and just the connections that you're building, like I just 100% always recommend it.
Awesome. Thank you for that phenomenal answer. Now, a high-level generic question, and I know time is precious, so maybe let's keep our answers short, but what was your favorite part of GSEA? Alondra, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. I think my favorite part of the Global Student Entrepreneur Award was the people, because when I got to China, I was expecting to have like a more competitive environment, and I don't know if Daniela and Kate also, because they competed with me, they also had the same experience. I was waiting like to see different students like practicing their pitches and being very competitive, because that's the same experience that I had with other competitions. So for me, the best part of GSEA is that everyone was so kind. Like everyone was very interested, and genuinely and authentically they wanted to know about your business and they want to help you. So for me it was a different experience from all the other competition, but for me it was the best.
Great. Thank you. Berat?
Actually, I was there, Alondra, Daniela, and Kate as judge. So I saw how you compete with each other, and I would say that I agree with Alondra. You had a very good, environment, and I really enjoyed talking with each of you there, chatting about your ideas, and meeting with you about your dreams. It really inspired me as previous GSEA participant to be there to talk with you and see the environment. So I that's what I want to say.
Great. Kate?
Yeah, my favorite part is definitely similar to Alondra and Brett's. Just like the best memories I have of it is just the award ceremony, the formal, where everyone gets dressed up and there's like the pictures, and it's the time where you kind of get to chat to the other competitors without thinking you're all in competition against each other, because like what's done is done. Like the judges have made their decisions, and I just loved meeting everyone, and it was just great to have all the different nationalities, different stories, different everything. I just loved it, every part of it.
Awesome. Daniela?
I agree with everything they said. They're completely right. The best part of GSEA is just the people that are there. It's incredible. And I will add that I just remember being at GSEA and leaving GSEA feeling absolutely amazed. It just makes you feel like, it makes you realize that there are so many brilliant, talented, kind, genuine people around the world, and you're all fighting for the same thing. You all want to make a better future. So it makes me really, really proud to be part of that part of competition, of environment, of network, where you definitely feel proud of everyone who's around you, and you can learn literally from everyone there. It's amazing. It's a very humbling and fulfilling, enriching experience.
Wow. What an awesome community we get to be a part of. I love hearing these answers, the inspiration that GSEA creates for many students around the world and for EO members around the world. I'm a biased opinion, but I think GSEA is the best part of EO, and I'm very glad to be a part of it. And again, thanks to all of our experts and chairs in the call today for listening in on the whys behind why students engage. To keep our time precious here, I'm going to call upon a couple of you. What was unexpected about GSEA in comparison to other business competitions that you have applied for or could have applied for? Kate, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I think we've kind of covered a lot of that, like talking about how we found it different to other competitions, just from straight out the point of view of it being more about you as the entrepreneur rather than the business, and then also the community you build as being part of GSEA. Like, we still have the group chat we had last year. It's still a very vibrant group chat. Whenever there's other competitions on that could be interesting to people, someone plops it in, and there's just always people helping each other out as well. Like, even to this day, still just any simple questions, someone will reply. And I think that's just the difference. It was much more of a community based rather than a competition. At the end of the day, it was all about helping each other and figuring it out together rather than competing against each other.
That's awesome. I love the word community-based competition. That's awesome. Berat, what about you?
I think it's the coolest competition ever. I have been maybe to 40 competitions in my lifetime. This is the coolest one. You know, the atmosphere, the people, you know, the EU members, the participants, like the people who work there. So it's really, really the coolest one in my idea. So like being in the coolest competition, so like being like meeting with the coolest people really gives you a community. So I agree with Kate. So the community of the coolest people, I guess I can say about the GSEA. I was in DC 2 years ago. I met with one of my EU mentors, Marsha. She hosted me there. She introduced me to her family. Then I went to the Dublin. I met with the, you know, our previous EU, GSEA chair. So when I go to the Switzerland, I met with the participants. So when I in China, we were traveling with Axel, the national winner of 2018. So like I think this is really important. So I never experienced this in other competitions. So I feel like I have a family wherever I go. I meet with people, and they're really cool.
Wow. Awesome. Marissa, Catherine, we're going to have a quote with Berat's face on it, the coolest competition ever, and help spread that across the GSEA community. But yeah, one of the many unique things about GSEA is exactly what the students are describing right now, and that you can help facilitate this next year is the building of community. And you can do it both at your local chapters as well as we help facilitate it at the global level when the students arrive. And it becomes, we're working towards building elements of what really makes EO strong around the world for these GSEA students. And glad to hear that is being successful. Now, Alondra, I know you already answered this in your previous answer, but anything you want to add to the topic here?
Yeah, I want to add that since the beginning, I entered to GSEA. All the staff has been super committed and very interested in my personal and professional growth. And I don't know, I think all the students think the same as me, because I receive emails from Catherine monthly to see how is your performance and how is your business doing since the beginning of that you applied to GSEA. And another thing is that when you got accepted to GSEA, they assign you a mentor. And in my case, that mentor was and is a great inspiration for me and for my business. At the date of today, he still works with me, and also with my mentors from Puerto Rico. Every day I can talk with them. I can go to a coffee with them. I think one of them is here in this call. And for me, that's one of the things that is different from other competitions, because you go and you do your pitch and compete. That's it. There's not a genuine interest of your growth or your professional growth. So for me, that's one of the things.
Awesome. And I'm glad you brought up mentorship, as that's one of the key elements that makes GSEA strong as well. And as EO members, it feels good to have a great opportunity to give back. You know, these students want mentorship. They appreciate the time that we give them. And it's a great element, a part of the GSEA program to be able to give back. Daniela, anything you want to add? I know you already answered this in your previous question as well, but anything you want to add?
Well, after those answers, you can imagine that there's not a lot to add, because that's completely true. It's the community, it's the mentors. I'm also in contact with my mentors from the US, and it's just unbelievable. They're more than just mentors. It's just amazing how much support you can get from them. So I wouldn't change that for anything. But I will add one small thing, which is that I think GSEA is very special because it pushes you to really tell your story and open up to even like being vulnerable, which is something that I haven't seen in any other competition. For me, it was really hard because I'm an engineer, so there is no problem in like talking numbers and showing business and, you know, showing my technology and everything. That's easy. But I had never being faced with the challenge of telling my story and personal facts about me and what I care about and what is a true challenge for me in front of a lot of people that I didn't even know. So it was really scary at first, but I think that it allows you to first really know yourself and why you're doing what you're doing. And second, it helps you connect with people. By opening up and telling your real story, that's the best way that you can truly communicate why you believe in this and get people to support you for the right reasons. So yeah.
Adrienne,
Awesome.
go ahead. I know you got a couple more questions you wanted to ask.
Yeah, lots of things coming up in my head too. Looking at all of the text coming through in the chat room, and there's so many questions in there about getting these stories to be the tools that you can use to help promote GSEA. And you're absolutely right. It's always best when it's the students telling the story. That's what makes people really, really get it. And the answers are yes. We have lots of those things, lots of testimonials. I'm sure the 4 students on this call right now would be happy to make more of them for us. When Berat was saying that it's the coolest competition, part of me wanted to say, yeah, and we don't even pay them to say that. But actually, these 4 students, we did actually pay something. But that's not why they say the nice things, just because they won money. It's because it's actually true. So yes, all of those resources, all of those tools, to get the voice of the students to really lead the way, I think is so important. And that gets in, Tyler's already mentioned that we have been putting together, and it's about ready to roll out, I think next week, the training for your GSEA role. And there are modules on all of these topics that you guys are asking questions about how to run competitions and how do we do how do we enlist students and how do we do all of these different things? How do we get PR? How do we tell the story? So all of that is going to be in the virtual training, and look forward to you guys having a chance to go through that. Daniela and actually Alondra, I think all of you mentioned mentors. And I want to talk a little bit more about mentors and get you guys to share your experience. And for me, there's really 2 different kinds of mentorship that happens. There's probably many more than 2, but 2 distinct ones that are coming up for me now. There's the mentorship to prepare for the competition. And then there's that relationship that carries on. So let's have each of you answer whichever of those 2, or if you want to answer both, that's fine. But I'm just going to throw both of those questions to you. The mentorship preparing for the competition and what that was like, and then what has happened since then and that support and mentorship that you've gotten since then. And Berat, I'll let you go first.
Mentorship,
you're on mute.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So about the mentorship, so I had maybe not 1 mentor, maybe 3 or 4 mentors. One of them was assigned when I was participating. Then EU Turkey also assigned me 2 or 3 mentors. And when I participated afterwards, I had my life mentors who were, mentoring me, for my business, for my personal goals, who were promoting me, and as Adrienne said, it was not the paid mentorship, but it was coming from the heart. So we were helping, they were helping me. I was also participating in their programs. What I can say for the mentorship, it's not only one-time mentorship, it's lifelong mentorship.
Yeah, absolutely. Kate, what's your experience been with the mentorship?
My experience with mentors has been fabulous, especially before the competition, they're kind of helping you with, pitching, how to tell your story the best you can. And it's amazing how much extra work they put in as mentors, as in they know all about your business, everything you've done before you even explain it to them yourself. And I also think one of the great things about GSEA mentors is that the guy who organizes the Irish, so the ex-chair, Stephen Short, one thing that I'd say especially stands out from him would be how it's a very business casual type of conversation you'd be having with your mentors, as in you're never too scared to ask them a question because you don't feel like they're going to judge you or they're going to think that you're not as good as you actually are. It's the complete opposite. They're trying to make you as comfortable as possible to ask questions that you may need to know. And I think that's one of the great things about GSEA mentors is just they're literally the other side of the phone whenever you need them for whatever it may be.
That's great. Daniela, what has your experience been?
Exactly like that. The EO has such amazing mentors, and I will just add that when I see Debbie was my mentor in New York. When I see Adrienne or Pramod, Tyler, Marisa, Catherine, Dave, all of you, it doesn't feel like I'm seeing a mentor. It feels like I'm seeing my family, and I just wish you could all know that I am forever grateful for all the support, for all the love, for making me feel so special and so supported by all of you. I think that every student at GSEA can echo that. You are so committed to us, and we will be forever grateful.
Thank you. And we are grateful for you and your inspiration. Alondra, how was the mentorship getting ready for the competition? And then what's happened since then?
Well, in my case, I have two mentors from Puerto Rico. Sorry for the noise, it's raining here. I have two mentors from Puerto Rico and one mentor from that was the one that Catherine assigned me, that is from the United States in Arizona. In my case, my two mentors from Puerto Rico, they have helped me since the beginning, and until today we can talk, we can chat, we can go to the coffee as I mentioned, and they helped me at every state of the stage of my business, even in the legal area, which as I told you at the beginning, one of the reasons that I entered to Global Student Entrepreneur Awards is because I didn't have money to run my business. So they have helped me in every step and every advice. But also my mentor from the United States, he has like a different perspective. For me, I had the opportunity to do a business travel to the US, and I met him, and it was great. It's like a friend, like a father, and he has gave me a lot of good advices. But from my mentors from Puerto Rico, they're like more my parents. Like if I'm doing something wrong, they are gonna tell me like, Alondra, don't do that. But also I love the connections because they always like, Alondra, I have a new connection for you. Like talk to this girl, talk to this person, and they're gonna help you with your business. So that part is also amazing because of networking, because they have more experience. And I think that's it. But I'm always talking with them thanks to GSEA.
Thank you. Thank you. And one thing I think all of them have pointed out, and to the question that I know kind of came through the chat room a while ago about how can I convince students to do this competition and not all of the many other competitions that are happening in whichever country. GSEA is not just a let's have a competition and then everyone goes home. Once you're in, and the value continues, and it's an ongoing community. I am going to pause because I know that we have 12 minutes left, and I have not been keeping up with all the questions in the chat room, but I'm thinking either Marissa or Catherine have. So what else should we be asking the students?
So we have a question came in from Demetrius, just asking for all the students, what would you give as advice to any future students that are thinking of applying to GSEA? What would you say to a student that's thinking of applying?
I would say, don't be afraid to be vulnerable, to open up and really tell your story. That's how you connect to people. That's how you are honest with yourself and with everyone else in the room. And that is more valuable than anything else. So I know it's hard, but once you do it, it's very rewarding and very fulfilling.
In my case, I just want to add to Daniela that I also agree with her. Don't be afraid to share your story. But in my case, one of the things that I was afraid was the language barrier. I don't consider myself that I'm an expert talking in English. So at the beginning, it was like kind of scary to even do a video chat with the other students. But so don't be afraid to get out of the box and go and show about your business and your country. There's a lot of students that their first language is not English, as I thought it was gonna be. So just don't be afraid and go and do it.
Maybe I can go next. So with each year I pick some people and I say just apply to this competition and go there with your story. And last year, like Hungary, Turkey, and other countries, I nominated them and they become the winners. This year again, from Turkey, I met with Selinay, and when I was talking to Selinay, she was having like the GSEA spirit, and I said, you should definitely apply this competition and you should do it. And next day she applied and she won this year the competition. And now we talked to her and I'm giving her some advices, and I said to her, don't pitch like in the other competitions, and don't pitch as GSEA to the other competitions, because I tried it. I pitched in the same way I pitch in GSEA in one other competition, and it turned out bad, like not as good as in the GSEA, because like they said, why are you telling us this? Tell about your business. So my advice will be to students, just take this as different than the other competitions. Go there with your story, but don't do this in the other competitions because it can backfire.
Yeah, and I'll end on the note that the same as what Daniela and Alondra said, like, be vulnerable, because realistically you're going to be pitching in front of other EO members or past participants, and they're all entrepreneurs. They all know the challenges you go through as an entrepreneur, so they'll understand it more when you're talking about even the smallest inconvenience. They'll understand it and they'll see the bigger side of you actually got over that rather than being knocked down by it. And that's kind of the difference with GSEA as well, is that they're seeing as how you did it rather than how your business did it. It's all about how you managed to get over this tiny little block or step in the road. And I just would highly recommend it to any student.
Awesome, thank you. And yeah, just a reminder, if you have any questions for the panelists, feel free to drop those in the chat. We'll definitely try to get to those. But we have a question from Paulo asking about, we have dozens of competitions here, startup competitions in Switzerland. So why should you opt for GSEA as a student entrepreneur instead of another startup competition? So I know we've talked about just the differences, but what are some of the advantages? So why would you opt for GSEA over another startup now that you've done the GSEA process? I don't know if Alondra, if you want to start us off.
Well, in my case, I try to participate in all the competitions, but in this case, as I mentioned before, I didn't know about GSEA, so I was applying without knowing was GSEA, and turned out to be a great experience. So I didn't choose. In my case, I didn't choose to participate in GSEA instead of other competitions. But I always try to participate in everything.
Great. Kate, do you want to answer this question?
Yeah, sure. So, and the first thing that got me dragged into applying for the competition was definitely the fact that I got the opportunity to go to Asia. Like, we got to go to China, and that was just a huge thing. I'd never been to China, and I was like, oh my God, are they seriously going to send me there? Like, I didn't think it was true. I really didn't. And I remember when I won the nationals, Stephen was like, oh, you're going to China, we'll see you in China. And I just thought it was just the most surreal experience, being able to, like, first year of college, being told you can go to China to represent your country and your business. And it was just so one of the coolest experiences, as Berat said, just being able to go abroad and show off what you've done up to now.
Berat or Daniela, do you want to take a stab at answering this one?
Yeah, I mean, I echo completely what Alondra and Kate said. I think that the difference with GSEA is just that you can tell anyone that by doing GSEA, you are not just getting feedback on your business, you're growing personally. And that's something very special that other competitions don't really offer. So even if you don't win like the final competition, there's still so much to win just from the feedback, the connections, the network, all the support, and just the inspiration that you get from this competition.
Awesome, thank you.
And I would say the atmosphere and the location. So like in the other competitions, you go there, you compete, and in the end, they might have very good parties, but here you meet with the entrepreneurs, you chat with them, they try to help you, and they have a very, really, like, they take you into consideration. I think why not other competitions, but this competition, this is not only a competition, it's, there is like during this competition, there is also the leadership summit as well at the same time. So all the EU members are there, and you become in EU network. I think the EU network is what makes this competition different than the others. So it's not a competition, but it's a network and a family, and you are a participant, but You know, like we have here Mark, we have Tyler, Adrienne, Marisa. They make you feel like you are part of the, you know, family, and you got to experience that as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Berat. All right, I'm going to go back to Tyler.
Wow, we've heard some incredibly powerful messages here in this Zoom call. I'm really glad we're recording this. This is awesome content for all of us. As we move towards wrapping up the conversation, if there are any more questions, feel free to dive them into the chat. We've only got a few minutes left, but to many of your questions that were about the upcoming GSEA for 2020 and 2021, right, for this next year. Many of your questions will be answered soon. Adrienne, Marissa, Catherine, and I have been working on an e-course that's just in the final stages of wrapping up. It'll be sent to you, I believe, within the next week or two. It will encompass many of these questions of how do you partner with universities? How do you partner with local entrepreneurial organizations? How do you pull off an awesome event for these students? How do you reach out to students? How can you message professors successfully? How do you get press? Many of you will have important questions, and we've got a series of modules. We'll take you through a couple additional live webinars like this, where we can interact with each other and learn from each other, peer-to-peer relevant experience, and looking forward to kicking that off soon. So again, to all of our students who participated today on this panel, this has been awesome, extraordinary for the future of GSEA, and allowing our leaders to really get good insight into why this is an important program and what they need to focus on this next year. Again, thanks to all of the GSEA experts and on the call today. Your volunteer time this next year is extraordinarily valuable, and you can make a major impact in the lives of many students and the student that you bring on to the global round and to your chapter, and providing an opportunity for your chapters to give back to young aspiring entrepreneurs that have great ideas and want to make an impact in this world. Again, thanks to Marissa and Catherine for all the hard work that you've had to do to not only make GSEA successful, but to turn this entire competition this year into a virtual competition and plan a whole entire GLC virtually as well. It's been an extraordinary amount of work to do that. And again, thanks to Adrienne for your leadership with GSEA and EO through all the years. Again, I'll give you each a couple of minutes back to your day. If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out. But again, in about a week or two, you'll receive a message onboarding you to this next year's program. Thanks, and have a great day.
Thank you all. GSEA rocks.
GSEA rocks. Thanks, Adrienne.
You guys pick the best role for your board. You guys win the volunteer board selection competition.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think